We have to start today, much to the chagrin of Nick Saban, much to the chagrin of most people. I was watching this morning, Dan Orlovsky, I could tell. He was done talking about Shedeur. But like, it's the order of the day. People are interested. I'm interested. I didn't quite, it didn't surprise me at all that he dropped to the second round. I know it didn't surprise a lot of people. But I want to start this thing off by saying it's the best possible thing that ever could have happened to that dude. Scotty, what are you doing? You need some help with something?
I'm just checking something.
Scotty's checking something. Scotty Swingler, all the wheels of steel today. Scotty Swingler, knocking shit over today. So Shedeur drops out of the first round. And, you know, it wasn't quite painful as a guy in the green room, right? We all think to Aaron Rodgers and just getting passed over. And that was all in the first round, but it was ours. You know, it was he was mentioned around the top 3 picks, and then he doesn't get taken till Green Bay selects somewhere in the 20s. Now, I believe like the Sanders team, they knew he wasn't going to get drafted or there was an outside shot. And I just think all the way down to the way he was shot last night, and like they shot him from the back, and he didn't do any interviews that I saw, right? And he spoke on social media at the end of the night and was basically like, hey, like this is, you know, nothing happens by mistake. And I agree with that. I didn't like when he said, we all know this shouldn't have happened. Let's get that out of there. But the fact of the matter is, him falling into the second round, God forbid third, is going to be great for his career. One, he now has a chip on his shoulder for the rest of his life, and especially towards the early part of his career, where he will get the opportunity now to learn under another starting quarterback. Because here's another piece of good news. You know, back in January, when a lot of folks were talking about Shedeur was a lock to go top 3, you know, and some of those people didn't know what they were talking about, but some people that did still had him going top 3, maybe the first pick in the draft. Those picks and putting a young quarterback in those positions makes him extremely vulnerable. You know, think Sam Darnold with the Jets, right? Think Joey Harrington with the Detroit Lions. Think Achilles Smith with the Bengals. You know, those are just a couple. There's so many. Think Ryan Leaf with the Chargers. And what I mean by that is when you take these quarterbacks who are so high profile and have had such success, Shedeur actually is an exception to the rule. He actually knows. People said he held onto the ball too long. Well, that's because nobody was blocking for him. And when they were, it was a difficult situation for him as a quarterback. He always felt a ton of pressure. It affected his confidence. He still found a way to play through it. And he had a magnificent career at Colorado. But now it's a whole different animal for him. He's going to be one of those guys who, how do you not do what they call the lonely work, right? He's going to be thinking, they don't think I'm good enough. They don't think I'm good enough, right? That's one big part. He'll also, people talk about him being entitled, and I don't necessarily believe that. And I spoke on here last week about how it was weak sauce, that anonymous assistant coach, or I spoke on it earlier this year. Somebody would say that about Shedeur Sanders. Put your name on it or shut up, dude. And by the way, it sounded like that guy was a jaded lover. But aside from all that, I want to mention a couple quarterbacks who were taken in the later rounds, right? Guys like Tom Brady, guys like Joe Montana. I'll even go to the 80s. Randall Cunningham, Boomer Esiason, Brett Favre, you know, Drew Brees back into the 90s, 2000s. And, of course, my favorite, even though he was taken in the first round, it was later and way later than we thought, Aaron Rodgers. And there's just a different makeup of a quarterback who feels like he wasn't getting respected. Athletes, whatever. And it changes everything about his NFL career. I believe this microcosm, you know, right now we're all prisoners of the moment. Everybody wants to talk about Shedeur Sanders, whatever. Last night, I thought Nick Saban's head was going to explode when they were talking about him again. He was like, well, I don't understand why we're talking about where he's going to get drafted. It's like, well, Nick, this is TV. He's right, but at the same time, he's wrong. So I believe the best is yet to come for Shedeur Sanders. We'll talk in the second segment about where he's going to go, but I have a very, very good feeling about where he's going to go. And I know that when we talk about Shedeur and the draft, and we're in Texas, right? So Texas high school football, Texas college football, it's a big deal to us, and it's a big deal to my good buddy Scotty Swingler. Now, all week long, all honestly lead up to the draft, we've been talking nonstop about Shedeur, and why not? You know, he's just a social media magnet. He clicks, whatever it is. There's just major